कर ली।
सुनाई
सुनाई दे रही है?
हाँ सुनाई दे रही है।
ठीक है, एप्लीकेशन विंडो।
चुप 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 स्टार्ट। लाइव पर है अपन लोग।
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the verbal ability class. Welcome to the class of verbal ability students. In this class, we'll focus on a few topics that are covered in verbal ability. Basically, we are going to talk about sentence completion and spotting error kind of questions today. So, the first topic that we are going to tackle or to understand how to attempt is sentence completion. Guys, verbal ability is not a very verbal ability is not a very difficult kind of question pattern, or it does not involve understanding a lot of conceptions and concepts. However, it is easy to score if you know the tips and tricks. If you understand how to work on about complete finding the correct answers in sentence completion, it is pretty easy to score. You can get your marks easily once you understand the sense of the question, right? So you have, I'll share a few tips with you when you encounter these sentence completion questions. What you need to focus is, you need to understand the sense of the question. You need to read the question and see if it is asking for a positive blank. See, it is like there'll be a blank in the question, right? So you have to understand if the blank is asking for a positive word, or is it asking for a negative word. That helps you to eliminate from the options that have been given to you. Also, the second tip that I would give you is to improve your vocabulary. Now again, it is easier said than done, and vocabulary is a vast field, so it becomes really tiresome to know the meaning of it, of every word. But again, if you are working on verbal ability, there are various topics that are highly, or maybe I could say hugely reliable on um, vocabularies. So you need to understand the concept of building a good vocabulary. You need to have a vague idea about the meanings of the words that we encounter in daily, you know, day to day lives. Maybe understanding their synonyms or their antonyms. So that way you can, build up a huge bank of vocabularies. Now, let's move on to understanding the kind of questions that are asked in various examinations, like Infosys or Capgemini. These are some companies that make you appear for exams, different verbal ability and technical abilities, so that they refine the process of selecting you. So let's get on to moving on completing the sentence completion exercise. The first question here says, I hope all of you are able to see my screen. The first question says, I've tried for years to get close to my brother Ray, but he has always remained. Now, let's understand the gist of the question. Is it a positive word that we're looking for here, or is it a negative word that we're looking forward to here? Because the question says, I have tried for years to get close to my brother. That means, maybe we as brothers have fallen apart in the past few years, but then I've tried my best to get close to my brother, but he has always remained. So maybe he's always remained um, not into contact, or maybe this is a negative sense that I'm getting from the sentence. So let's see what kind of word are we looking for. Obviously, if the sentence is pointing towards a negative direction, the word we're looking for is a little negative here, right? So the options that given here are five options. Let's understand the meaning. The first word is cognizant. Now, cognizant is it's a it's not a very difficult word. I think this is something that you might have heard once, at least once or twice in your life. Cognizant here means that a person who has a lot of knowledge, or who is aware of his surroundings. So I think this is a positive word. We'll be eliminating that. Assiduous. Assiduous here means someone who's very hardworking. Vociferous here means someone who's venomous. That is hateful. So the first two are positive options, so we'll eliminate them. And now we have the third option, that is a person who's venomous or hateful. So we could say, okay, we could keep that in our options. Now, the fourth word is aloof. Aloof means the person who's a little distant. And okay, so distant is again negative, so we'll keep that also in our options. And the last word is accommodating. Accommodating is somebody who is very adjusting, somebody who accommodates your needs, who adjusts to your needs. Now, again, it's a positive word, and he has all, if Ray had been accommodating, I think I shouldn't have to, try for so many years to get close to him. So again, this is not making any sense here. So the two words that we're looking for are vociferous and aloof. Now again, vociferous is something that tells you that he's very hateful, right? If I say that my brother is hateful, why would I keep trying for years to get close to him? It doesn't make any sense here, right? So the correct answer to this statement is aloof. Even though I have tried very hard to get close to my brothers over these years, but he has always maintained distance from me. Right? Very good, Gurvit. The right answer would be D. Aloof. Negative. Yes. Now, second, in his later years, the once wildly successful gambler lost his fortune and became a homeless dash on the streets of Las Vegas. Now, are we looking for a positive sense in this in the blank, or a positive word in the blank, or is it a negative word that we're looking for? Try and understand the sense of the sentence. In his later years, the once wildly successful gambler. That means that he was once, he was probably a very, Ponchan kind of gambler who was very high on success, and he has gained a lot of fortune. But in his last years, he lost all of his fortune and he became a homeless dash on the streets of Las Vegas. Now, we're obviously looking for a negative word, right? Yes, Gavin, that's true. Okay. So the first word here, Granger. Granger means a farmer. So a farmer is most likely not going to be homeless, I think, right? So we would not say that it's a farmer. So we would eliminate option A. Now, miser. Miser means, must have heard this word very frequently. If you are one, miser means somebody who is conjuice, right? We say people who do not spend, or maybe who like to spend very carefully. Um, Obviously the money. So maybe our friends are pretty miser, or maybe our brother or siblings are miser, or maybe I myself is a miser. So miser. Now if he had been a miser, do you think he would have gotten into spending his fortune, or getting into gamblings and games? And no, people who are miser, I don't think they get themselves involved into gambling, right? Strategist here means that he is very sure of what to do next. He works on things, he strategizes, he manipulates, he puts a lot of thought into doing things. And I don't think gamblers are prone to do that. I mean, sure, they think of the next move or what to do next, but had he been that kind of gambler, he would not have lost his fortune. Vagabond here means a wanderer, right? Somebody who wanders aimlessly. The last word is spectacular. Now, Granger, miser, strategist, ABC are eliminated. Vagabond means a wanderer, which is a little suitable here because a homeless wanderer on the streets of Las Vegas makes a lot of sense. Spectacular doesn't, because again, speculator again means that he tries to understand the theories and speculates the results and everything. So again, if he would have been a speculator, he would not have lost his fortune, or maybe he would not have gone into the habit of gambling, right? So the correct answer is vagabond. Next, third, animals are able to survive easily in the wilderness, for example, because, for example, they can live on berries or insects. That means they can eat both plants and insects, or maybe animals, right? So, what do we call these kinds of animals? These kinds of animals are called Omnivorous animals, not omnipotent. Omnipotent is something or somebody that is present everywhere, right? So omnipotent is god. God is present everywhere, but omnivorous, we might have read the difference about these things: herbivorous, carnivorous, omnivorous, when we were kids, maybe in our social sciences class. So herbivorous are the animals that feed mainly on entirely on plants. Then we have carnivores who are meat eating animals, and then there are omnivorous animals who eat anything and everything that comes into their way. So be it fruits, be it plants, be it animals, be it insects, they could eat anything. Yes, right, omnivorous would be the right choice here, since it isn't always the case that you'll always get difficult words and difficult meanings to find out. So don't try and find out difficulties in the question. If the question is as simple as this, just focus on the most obvious word, just focus on the most prominent word that you could look for, instead of making it a complicated sentence. Just understand the gist of the sentence and try to take on the answer and move on, right? Let's move on to the next set of question. Fourth, Sally had planted the seeds in the greenhouse 3 weeks ago. They would begin to dash any day now. Now, when we particularly talk about seeds, there are very few terms that are very common, right? So try to understand those words if they're given in the option. So the first word is germinate. Germinate is, again, obviously, to grow, right? To वो कहते हैं ना जमीन से फूटना शुरू किया था, तो जर्मिनेशन इज अ प्रोसेस, राइट? सो I think instead of moving on and looking for all the other options, I would say that germination suits the best here, and I would not waste my time, and I would say they would begin to germinate any day now. Obviously plants germination बचपन से सुनते हुए आ रहे हैं, right? Again, fifth sentence says Julia's parents gave her one dash regarding her new job. It could not interfere with her schoolwork. Now, what kind of word should be put in here? Are we looking for a positive word or are we looking for a negative word? We're definitely looking for a positive word here, because it seems like you know um, parents who have given a kind of backup to to their kid, and they would also made a point that the job that she's doing is maybe good for her experience, but it could not interfere with her schoolwork, so they have given her a support system. Maybe now here the support system, or maybe help, does not mean procession. Consensus here means that they approved of something. I think if she's already doing the job, or working on planning on working on the job, so I think they've already given her the permission. So we're past that stage where she would be needing her parents concession consensus. Now manifestation would be not the right word to look for, and provision means a backup of supplies. So I think that is the kind of word we're looking for. Julia's parents gave her one provision regarding her new job. So it's a kind of backup that they gave her, or maybe a kind of support, or maybe that a kind of bag of supplies, stock of supplies that they gave her regarding a new job. A rule to follow, a thing to keep in mind, that it could not interfere with her schoolwork. Reprieve का मतलब होता है that they were maybe Julia was forced to postpone or abandon her plans of working on the new job. But I think it was just a provision, it was just a clause that her parents had stated that whatever she's doing, if she thinks is good for her, she should do. But regardless of whatever her new this new job brings to her, as in the um, case of experiences, it could not interfere with her failing the school or with her schoolwork, right? So the correct answer for the fifth question would be provision. Sixth question. Despite enthusiastic efforts from the supporting cast, the critics agreed the star of the play gave a dash performance, ruining the chance of lucrative box office sale. Now, again, try to understand the sense of the question. Is it a positive word that we're looking for to fill in the blanks, or is it a negative word? Read the keywords here. What do you think should be the keyword in this sentence? I think the keyword here would be ruining the chance of lucrative box office sales. Try and understand that if it had been a stellar performance by the star of the play, then the chance of getting lucrative box office sales would not have been ruined, right? So we would look for a word that is negative. Infallible means infallible is somebody who's incapable of making a mistake. So, incapable of making a mistake is a positive word, right? So, we would eliminate this from our options. Vigorous means somebody who's over enthusiastic, who's very passionate. Again, a positive word. Victorious. Now, again, victory, victorious, positive. Not the one thing that we're looking for. Felicitous. Felicitous would mean somebody who's well suited for the circumstances, or as per, as maybe he was well suited as per the plot of the play, but if he were, he would not have given such a bad performance. So lackluster would be the right word here. So I mean, come on, look at the word lackluster. So luster means something that is shining, right? So if you lackluster, that means you've given a dull performance, right? So a dull performance ruins the chance of getting lucrative box office sales. So the correct answer for the sixth question would be E, lackluster. Seventh question. The tenor's dash voice filled the concert hall. Again, look for the sense of the statement. Is it a positive word that we're looking for, or is it a negative word that we have to focus on? Now, what is a tenor? Tenor is a musical instrument that is used to make, of course, music in various musical performances, and we are looking for something, some kind of voice that filled the concert hall. So, we are looking for a positive word here. Now, sinuous here means that something that has many curves and turns. So, a thing that is filled with curves and turns makes it very difficult to fill the concert hall, because it might get lost before reaching the entirety of the hall. Okay, so we would eliminate that. Now, second option is timid. I'm sure this is a very common word and you might have heard it over and over again. Timid is somebody who's very weak in response, right? Maybe dull, lacks courage. हम बोलते हैं ना, he's a timid man. So maybe he lacks courage. He's not that strong, not just physically but also morally to stand up for things. He's kind of a coward. Tenuous here means very weak and fragile. So again, if something is weak or fragile, then how is it possible for that thing to fill the concert hall? So we won't. So we would eliminate that also. Now, sonorous means something that is high pitched, something that is very impressive, or something that is very grand in effect. So I think we're looking for this word only, because the tenor's sonorous voice filled the concert hall. That means the grandeur of that voice, the tenor's voice, the voice produced from the tenor was so larger than life, or so it was filled with such an impressive effect that it filled the concert hall, right? So the answer for the seventh question would be D. Eighth, after the fire, there were ashes in every dash of the old farmhouse. So we would look at the meaning. So we're talking, see, the main word here to understand is ashes, and the other thing is every. So the ashes, if I read it in the completeness of the sentence, I would say they were probably in every nook and corner of the old farmhouse. So let's replace the word every nook and corner with something that is given in the options. So belfry wouldn't be that option, because belfry means something, oh sorry, a place to keep a lot of bells. It's the place in the bell tower that is used to store maybe old bells or maybe new bells somehow. But we are talking about an old farmhouse where we're not talking about a bell tower. So this option would be eliminated. Now again, reprieve. I'm sure you know the meaning of reprieve by now, because this was there in the last slide as well. A reprieve again means to abandon something of the choices, to to push somebody to postpone their plans. Again, not relevant to the sentence. Again, tangent is not a physical place, I would say. Tangent is a direction that we talk about mostly, right? हम बोलते हैं ना बात करते करते, या तो किसी और ही टेंजेंट पे ले गया बात को. So in मतलब हम we are talking about something, and somebody took the entire conversation on a different level, or maybe in a different direction. So every tangent of the old farmhouse does make a sense, does make a little bit sense here, but not entirely. Or let's see, let's keep it as an option. So we would eliminate A and B, but we would still keep C. Now the orifice, the meaning of the word orifice means um, every corner. So we're talking about holes, right? Holes in something में पास. So if you remember, हम बचपन में घर देखे हैं पुराने वाले झरोके टाइप के होते थे, small carvings on the walls maybe. So this is what an orifice is, right? And the last word is tribunal. Tribunal is, again, it's a place, it's a place in the court where people meet and talk about different official issues. But I don't think it makes how sense with the old farmhouse, so we would eliminate that. Now the two options that are making the most sense here are tangent and orifice. Now in every direction, every tangent of the old farmhouse is not making quite a sense here, but orifice is, because we're talking about every hole of the old farmhouse, every corner of the old farmhouse, every spot, every after the fire there were ashes everywhere, right? So the correct answer for the eighth question would be orifice. Ninth question. Luan experiences serious dash whenever she climbs several flights of steep stairs. Now we are going to underline or maybe understand the keywords here. Experiences serious. So something very serious happens when she climbs several flights. Flights, that means height. हम ऊपर जा रहे हैं, so we are ascending something. So we're talking about a fear or a problem related to heights of steep stairs. So maybe there are the pretty old stairs, or maybe there are a lot of stairs, so steep stairs, right? A option says vertigo. Vertigo is a condition that happens when one has a fear of heights, or maybe dizziness that occurs when somebody's or moving or ascending heights. So again, we're talking about heights because we're talking about several flights, and it is a condition that gets you serious dizziness. So I think that's the answer we're looking for. But let's to be sure, let's move and understand the other options that we have been given. Inebriation is drunkenness. Now, she experience a serious inebriation when she is climbing stairs? I don't think so, because सीढ़ियों पे चढ़ते हुए नशा तो नहीं होता है. चक्कर आना I think is a common thing, but inebriation doesn't suit here. The next word is exoneration. Exoneration is an action of absolving someone from blames, which again is not relevant in the sentence. Fallacy is you know we are when we talk about old age, I'm sorry, old midwife's tale, or we're talking about fantasies and something that's not true, something that is quite made up. But again, I don't think that's what the question is demanding. Plethora means a lot of she has a plethora of reasons why she did not come um to the event or to the marriage. So plethora is wide range of something, wide knowledge हम कहते हैं उसके. He has a plethora of knowledge about things. So n number of multiple things. So plethora again not relevant. So the first yes, the first option suits the best here in this blank. So the correct answer would be A, vertigo. Now the 10th question says the dash of the successful product idea was attributed to the extraordinarily creative company resident. Now, the dash of the successful product idea. So that means we are looking for a positive word here, because we are talking about the product's success, right? It was attributed to the extraordinary creative company resident. So there is a company resident who is extraordinarily creative, and maybe he was the man behind the successful product idea, right? Now demise obviously means death here. So death of the successful product idea. Oh no, if it would have been a death, if it would have been the death of the successful product idea, then we would not have used extraordinarily and creative. Of course we are praising that company resident, right? So we would again eliminate this. Genesis means the act of forming something new. Genesis means the origin, again, root of something. So the genesis of the successful product idea, that means the origin of the successful product idea, was attributed to the extraordinarily creative company resident. And I would say that makes a lot of sense here, because we're talking about an idea and we're talking about somebody who invented it or came up with it. And again, he is probably the root of the successful product idea. Symmetry doesn't make any sense. Repletion is completely full of something. So it does have a kind of a negative tone altogether. So again, we would not think about that, or maybe that doesn't make sense to the as per the answer here. The next word, that is the last word, means dominion. Dominion is supremacy. Supremacy again has a tint of rudeness or arrogance to it, but we're looking for something that is positive. So the only word that makes a lot of sense here is Genesis. The correct answer for the 10th question would be B, Genesis. Okay. So far, we've understood the basic as on. So the best way to work on spotting error questions is, yes, that's very true, understanding the basics of the grammar, understanding the structure of the sentences, understand the elements that are used or that are helpful in working on the structures of a sentence. For example, you should know what a noun is, what a pronoun is. Then you need to understand the tenses, because if there are two clauses in the sentence, for example, if there is a principal clause and there is a subordinate clause. The principal clause means that the main, subject predicate that we used to study when we were very young, when we were in um, elementary schools, when we were very, not very not very complicated classes. So subject and predicate, right? So one clause talks about the main idea of the sentence, that is the principal clause, and one idea is the subordinate clause, which is again talking about it's probably supporting um, the principal clause, right? So you need to understand that both of these should be in the same tense, right? So you need to understand the kind of tenses that there'll be, that there are the 12 tenses that talk about the time that the action happened in, or will be happening, or has already happened. So tenses is something that you need to, it's a concept of grammar that you need to understand very thoroughly. Again, the other thing that you need to keep in mind is subject verb agreement. Now the subject agrees with the verb in the sentence. Is it plural subject? So is it plural verb, or is it singular subject? It is singular verb. And there are few concepts that go about it, so you need to have all these concepts on your tips. You need to understand the confusion, you need to spot the confusion, so that you can come up with better answers or correct answers. These concepts will help you in spotting errors. These concepts will help you in understanding and to finding out the correct answers, right? I know, easier said than done again. Like vocabulary, these are also quite difficult if you are not a native speaker. But again, I don't think English is a rocket science. If you, जैसे हम maths में formula समझ के questions करते हैं, so similarly, if you understand the concepts of grammar, I think a lot of big things, especially in verbal ability, will become very easy for you, right? So let's start on doing the spotting error exercises. The first sentence is, this laboratory of physics is not only equipped with all state of the art instruments but also with outstanding physicists. Now, what you have to understand here is, again, there are five parts of the sentence that have been given to you. They're marked with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the fifth option is always going to be no error, which means that if your answer is 5, so you would say that you do not think the question or the statement has any kind of error. So you need to understand and point out which part of the question has the error, and then you need to spot it and you need to correct it, right? It's not just looking for the correct error, right? It's not just that. You also have to correct the error that has been given in whichever part you think the problem is, right? So the question is, this laboratory of physics is not only equipped with all state of the art instruments but also with outstanding physicists. Now what do you think should be the is the error here in this statement? The error is there in the second part of the question, that says not only equipped with, whereas instead of this statement, it should be equipped not only with. We're talking about the laboratory, so we have to couple it with the right kind of verb, that is equipped. So we will say this laboratory of physics is equipped not only with all state of the art instruments, but also with outstanding physicists. When we use words or maybe couples like not only with but also either or, neither nor, we join two subjects or objects or verbs or gerunds, right? So here we are talking about two subjects. The two subjects are the laboratory, of course, and also the state of the art music instruments. So the two subjects are coupled with the right kind of conjunction, we could say, or connectors, we could say. So it would be equipped not only with, instead of not only with, not only equipped with. Okay, moving on to the second question. The second question says the report is candid in admitting that the investment by the government in health and family planning have been eroded considerably. So, we're talking about the report. So, the report is the, again, the subject here. So, what do you think is the error in this exercise? Yeah, all state of the art is correct. Again, this question is second. The second question is again, we have the problem of using the right verb here. Now, since the report is candid in admitting that the investment by the government, so the subject here is in a singular form, but the verb here, that is have been eroded, is here in the plural form, right? So what are we going to what do we understand here? The Yes, the correct answer would be has been. So the error is in the fourth part of the sentence. Have been is used with verbs, subjects that are plural in nature, whereas has been or has is used with the subjects that are singular in nature. Since we're talking about a single report, since we're talking about the investment and not investments, so we would be using has here instead of have been, right? Subject verb agreement. Please guys understand that these kind of um, small mistakes seem to be very correct. They're very difficult to spot, they're very difficult to come on to, but you have to understand the concepts. The concepts have to be there on your tips to spot these errors easily, because this was not a very difficult find. I hope you agree with me on this. The third, I live on a top floor of an old house. When the wind blows, all the windows rattle. So what should be the error here? It's very easy. The error here would be in the first part of the sentence, which says I live on a top floor. See, again, grammatically अगर हम articles को समझते हैं, on a और and जब हम use करते हैं as indefinite articles, we're talking about something that is singular in nature. But again, try and understand the concept here. किसी भी building का top floor तो एक ही होगा ना. So we cannot say a top floor. We are talking about something that is definite, that is going to be a singular identity. Sorry, singular entity, right? So we would always say, I live on the top floor. I'm definiting something. I am directing you something that is to you to something that is pretty definite or specific, right? So I live on the top floor. Fourth question. Had he not reached in time, we missed a golden opportunity which comes once in a while. Spot the error in this sentence. Had he not reached in time, this sentence, this part of the sentence is correct, we would have missed a golden opportunity which comes once in a while. Would have missed. Again, use pointing out to the error and understanding what to correct and what should be the correct form. So we might have missed out. We would have missed out, or we would have missed a golden opportunity which comes once in a while. Right? Again, moving on to the fifth question. Stories have always been used as a powerful tool for communicating vital information from one generation to another. Now, stories have always been used. Now, this is the correct form of the grammar because stories is again a plural subject, and have, as I said, that have is used with plural subjects only. So, I think this is the correct form. As a powerful tool, okay, for communicating vital information from one generation to another. So I think the sentence is completely fine, and I would say I would go with the fifth option, that is, there is no error in this sentence. Okay, moving on to the sixth question. We are trying to find out the root cause of this recurring problem since the last 4 days. Another and other means one and the same thing. So you could replace. You could replace it with each other. It doesn't make any difference. However, the formation of the sentence is correct. We are trying to find out the root cause of this recurring problem since the last 4 days. Now, you need to understand the difference or the correct usage of since and for. So, when we are talking about a point in time, then we talk about since. Then that is the place where we use since. For example, this shop has been there since 1957. सो वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट अ पॉइंट इन टाइम 1957 में कभी ये शॉप शुरू हुई थी. हम पढ़ते हैं ना काफ़ी शॉप्स के नीचे या काफ़ी ब्रांड्स के नीचे सिंस 1866, सिंस 1948, सिंस 2001, since 1986. So they're talking about a point in time when the brand was launched. It's not a specification that we're using. We're talking about a point in time. So when it comes to pointing out a specific time, so pointing out a vague timeline, we talk about since. We use since. But when it comes to for, it is used with a period of time. The duration of time. I have been waiting for 4 hours. Right? So I am specifying the duration here. I am telling you how long I have been waiting for you. Right? So that is where I use for. I am using for to denote a period of time, a duration of time. So since the last 4 days, now you're talking about the duration or the point here. It's the duration that you're talking about. So since would be replaced with for the last 4 days. The error is in the fourth part of the sentence, and we would replace since with for. Okay, moving on to the seventh question. I told him bluntly that he is a lazy fellow and that he had done his work very badly. So do you think should be what do you think is the problem here? Is the error here? Again, try and understand the concept of tenses in this question. I told him bluntly. So, this means that I had already had this conversation with that guy, and that conversation is now in the past because I'm using told here. The second form of the word tell, right? So this has already happened, that he is a lazy fellow and that he had done his work very badly. So if I am talking about something that has happened in the past, my principal clause, that is I told him bluntly, my main subject, has already happened. How could I say that he is a lazy fellow? I would use the same tense here, that he was a lazy fellow, right? Subordinate clause and principal clause should have always the same tense. Again, understanding the concept of tenses here is very important, because if you see, this is the only word, this is the only verb that has been used in the present. If you read the third part, that he had done, past perfect, he had done. Had, again past, done, that is the third form of the verb, past perfect. So I need to match all the verbs here to the past tense, and I would say I told him bluntly that he was a lazy fellow, that he had done his work very badly. Okay, moving on to the next set of questions. Neither of them are going to attend the party on 10th October. Now, when it comes to words like, subject verb agreement, again I'm pointing out this to you. Neither of them मतलब दोनों में से कोई नहीं, दोनों में से कोई नहीं जा रहा, या दोनों में से कोई नहीं जा रहे. What do you think should be the correct answer here? We are considering neither of them as in one person, कि दोनों में से कोई नहीं. So the correct verb that will come with a singular verb, singular subject is are or is. Yes, understand this, that if the singular subject is there, the verb has is supposed to be singular. If there is a plural subject, then the verb has to be plural. So neither of them, दोनों में से कोई नहीं जा रहा. हम जा रहा बोलते हैं या जा रहे बोलते हैं. Try to translate into whatever language that you understand, and try to understand the error in the sentence. So the error is in the second part of the eighth question, that is going to attend should be there. Ninth question. He walked 5 miles, which are really a great distance for a man like him who is not only old but also ill. He walked 5 miles, which are really a great distance. Again, subject verb agreement. When we talk about entities like $5, 5 miles, 5 hours, so we are pointing towards a single entity. We are not talking about plural forms here, but we're talking about a distance, a singular distance. So it would be a singular verb. So that is why which is really a great distance would be there. Try and focus on the subject verb agreement rules. If you get your hands on experience with them, if you get to understand these concepts, they're very easy to understand. So it becomes very easy to find out the errors in the questions. So he walked 5 miles, which is great. So which is really a great distance for a man like him who is not only old but also ill. Okay, I'm hoping that you're understanding how to spot the errors in the sentences. Moving on to the 10th question. Unless he'll not understand the concept, he will not be able to solve the questions. So, what should be the error here? Which part of the question the error should be? जब तक वो कॉन्सेप्ट्स नहीं समझता, वो प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व नहीं कर पाएगा. Unless he understands the concept, he will not. We are using will 2 times in the sentence, which is not making any sense. Unless he will not understand the concept की जगह पे आएगा unless he understands the concept. जब वो कॉन्सेप्ट समझेगा ही नहीं, जब तक वो कॉन्सेप्ट समझेगा ही नहीं, वो क्वेश्चंस नहीं कर पाएगा is in the future, but at the present moment he need to understand the concept. So understand the concept of tenses here. Okay, so the error is in the second part of the sentence. 11th, although he was late, but he stopped on the way to have coffee with his friends. So we are using connectors here, although and but. to make the sense of the sentence. Although he was late, इसका मतलब वो late था, but he stopped on the way. Do you think that although and but are making sense here? Both the conjunction group, this group of the sentence is working, this group of the conjunctions is working fine for you. Although he was late, but जबकि वो late था, फिर भी he stopped on the way to have coffee with his friends. But is not फिर भी. Yet is फिर भी. When we are talking about conjunctions, although and yet, these are the two common terms that are paired together when we are talking or when we are expressing qualities, contrasting qualities or actions of a person. वो लेट था, फिर भी वो रुका अपने रास्ते में to have coffee with his friends. So although के साथ हम यहाँ पे but की जगह पे yet use करेंगे, right? So the error is in the second part of the sentence. Moving on to the 12th question. She was taking care of her baby for 2 hours before she was called by her mother. So, what do you think is the error in this question? She was taking, इसका मतलब हम continuous past continuous की बात कर रहे हैं. She was taking, वो अपनी बेबी का ध्यान रख रही थी 2 घंटे से, before she was called by her mother, जब तक उसकी माँ ने उसे बुलाया. Right? So do you think this sentence is making any sense to you? She had been taking care of her baby for 2 hours before she was called by her mother. She had been. मतलब वो 2 घंटे से ध्यान रख रही थी तब जब तक उसकी माँ ने उसे बुलाया नहीं. 2 घंटे से she was already working on it. She was already taking care of the baby. So she had been taking care of the baby for 2 hours before she was called by her mother. Right? Okay, moving on to the 13th question. No sooner did he see his teacher when he stopped copying. Again, if we are talking about pair of conjunctions, we need to understand that there are some conjunctions that come in pair and they're usually used together. So, no sooner is always used with then, not when. So, no sooner did he see his teacher than he stopped THAN, he stopped copying. जैसे ही उसने अपने टीचर को देखा, उसने चीटिंग करना रोक दिया. Right? So the error is in the second part of the sentence. The when would be replaced by then. Right? Okay. Moving on to the 14th question. Had you been to Mumbai, I would also go with you. Now understand the principal clause. Had you been to Mumbai? Had you been to Mumbai? अगर तुम मुंबई गए होते, I would also go with you. मैं भी तुम्हारे साथ जाता और या मैं भी तुम्हारे साथ चलता. I mean गया होता. Had you been to Mumbai? So we are talking about something that is in the future perfect. Now the two actions. So you going to Mumbai and I accompanying with you. There are two actions that we're talking about and one action is dependent on the other. अगर तुम मुंबई गए होते तो मैं भी तुम्हारे साथ चलता. So मुंबई जाने पे मेरा तुम्हारे साथ चलना, they were dependent on each other. I mean, the second action was dependent on the first action. So you need to understand that principal clause should be in future perfect, whereas the subordinate clause, that is my going with you, should be in past perfect here. Because हम दो अलग अलग actions पे, the first action is, the second action is totally dependent on the first action. So the principal clause here, had you been to Mumbai, I would have also gone with you. मैं भी तुम्हारे साथ चलता. So this is the correct form of the sentence. So there is the error is in the second part. I would have also gone with you. Past perfect में आएगा आपका subordinate clause. 15th, she ran so fastly that she was able to catch the running bus. Now you need to understand the concepts of, again, parts of speech, noun, pronoun, adverbs, verbs, prepositions. ये सब आपको समझ में आने चाहिए. If you read this sentence again, she ran so fastly that she was able to catch the running bus. Fast is itself an adverb. You do not need to add ly after it. It is also an adjective and it is also a verb. So in this case, we are denoting or we are glorifying the verb ran here. So fast is already an adverb and you do not need to add ly to it. So the correct sentence would be she ran so fast that she was able to catch the running bus. Next question. He met me 2 days ago, but he never told me about his grandmother's death. Now again, you need to understand that we would you the error here in the sentence is about, again, with the tenses. He met me 2 days ago, but he did not tell me about his grandmother's death. So the correct answer would be he met me 2 days ago. The error is in the second part of the sentence, but he never told me की जगह पे हो जाएगा he did not tell me about his grandmother's death. I hope this session would have helped you to understand how to spot the errors, how to complete the sentences. You need to understand the basics of the grammar if you want to score good in these kind of questions. Trust me, the grammar concepts may be a little tricky at first in the beginning, but as and when you try to use those concepts into the understanding of the question, it becomes pretty clear. The fog lifts and there is a clear understanding of things. So I hope this session might have helped you guys. Thank you so much. Have a great day.